Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to Lefties Losing It. Let's start with celebrities saying stupid things. It's an epidemic. Here is songstress Shakira. You remember her, the hips don't lie jail dodger who was expected to be imprisoned for massive tax fraud. Well, she's put that behind her to lecture us about immigration. She seems to think immigrants in America are living in perpetual fear.
An immigrant in the U.S. it means living in constant fear, and it's painful to see. I just hope that they can be treated and that we all can be treated under principles of equity.
Yes, our favourite commie word, equity. No, Shakira, America is about equality, not equity, freedom and the rule of law. And how insulting for this tax dodger to conflate legal immigrants with illegal immigrants. And Shakira, the polls are clear. The majority of legal migrants support Donald Trump's immigration policies. Now to another dim-witted celebrity, another singer here, and she's singing about how many abortions she's had. If only she could remember how many. Here is the pathologically awful Lily Allen.
Abortions, I've had a few, right. But then again, I can't remember exactly how many.
What, really?
Yeah.
Why didn't this come up in last week's episode where we were just talking about abortions?
Because I was just letting you run with it.
Reveal everything.
I can't remember, yeah. I think maybe like, I want to say 5, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've had about 5 too.
That's a BBC podcast. The British taxpayers are funding that diabolical trash. Now let's stay in the UK, and the Kingdom is in a fair bit of trouble after years of Tyno rule. That's Tories in name only. They now have a hard left Labor government, and like much of the West, the young folk have been brainwashed by leftist ideology. They've been brainwashed to hate their own country. A poll earlier this year showed that half of Gen Zs in Britain, that's 18 to 27-year-olds, believe their country is racist, and just 11%, just 1 in 10, said they would be willing to fight for Britain in a war. So let's hear from some of these young Brits.
You fight in the army? Let me tell you this, I would fight against the UK.
I would probably say no. I don't think I would.
Why would you fight against the UK? Because I would like the world to be liberated from Western imperialism. I would fight against this country in a war.
Sounds a bit bad, but I think I'm not necessarily a massive patriot.
The way the country is at the moment, it's not entirely worth fighting for to some extent.
I like socialism, I like freedom for people around the world, and I think that what you have right now is an American empire which is built upon robbery and theft and murder, and it is an insult to human dignity.
Can you believe that? He loves socialism and freedom. That's like saying, I love drowning and breathing, or I love food and starving to death. You want to talk about a masculinity crisis among young men? Well, that's it right there. That's real toxic masculinity when they don't appear to have any at all. Now, this next clip triggered a lot of lefties, but then again, what doesn't trigger them these days? Here is Donald Trump proving yet again he is the funniest president we've ever had. Here he gives some words of advice to any criminals looking to escape Alligator Alcatraz. He's giving them advice so they don't get eaten by the alligators.
Snakes are fast, but alligators are big. We're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%.
As Greg Gutfeld says, we don't deserve him. And here is a lefty woman losing it. She thinks Alligator Alcatraz is a concentration camp. I've got to say, these people, this woman, you can't help them. They're beyond help. All you can do is mock them mercilessly.
I will be in jail if I see somebody wearing an Alligator Alcatraz shirt or any type of merch. It is a concentration camp. And using that language matters. It is a concentration camp, and we're acting like it's an amusement park. It's disgusting.
Now to a TDS sufferer who may be in remission. The jury's still out on that, but here is Bill Maher pointing out to his lefty audience that when it comes to crazy conspiracy theories, well, the left are repeat offenders.
If you think there's only conspiracy theorists on the right, I can't tell you how many people came up to me around that time. Bill, don't you think that assassination attempt was staged? Staged. You know, walk me through how you could stage a bullet hitting just the tip of your ear from 500 feet away. Yeah, shoot at my head. I trust you. But just graze me. It's a new shirt. I don't want to get a lot, you know.
Now, let's look at just how far left the Democrats have become across so many issues. And they've also become strongly anti-Israel. Zoran Mamdani isn't an aberration. He is the Democrats' future.
The politics have changed around this issue among Democrats. What are we talking about here? All right, who Democrats sympathize more with, Israelis or Palestinians? In 2017, the Democratic Party was a pro-Israeli party. Look at this. They sympathized with the Israelis by 13 points, more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. But look at this sea change. Now Democrats sympathize more with the Palestinians by 43 points. Oh my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years. So all of a sudden, it's the pro-Palestinian position that actually reigns supreme in Democratic politics, not the Israeli position. And that is part of the reason why Mamdani was able to do so well in this primary, because those attacks over Israel, simply put, did not ring true for Democrats. They're now on the side of the Palestinians, not the Israelis.
Sadly, it's abundantly clear that the deplorable left has hit rock bottom and started digging. These soulless schools are now using the deaths of more than 100 Texans, using the deaths of young girls in a freak flash flood to, you guessed it, attack Donald Trump. And they're willing to lie to do it. It's reprehensible, it's contemptible, and it's sadly all too predictable. Here is Rosie O'Donnell.
The Guadalupe River, 51 missing, 51 dead, more missing. Children at a camp. And you know, when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis, because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law. As Republicans cheered, people will die as a result, and they've started already. Shame on him. Shame on every GOP sycophant who's listening and following the disastrous decisions of this mentally incapacitated POTUS.
No, shame on you, you broken, sick fiend, using the deaths of innocent young children in a natural disaster to go after Trump. It's a new low for Rosie, and that's saying something, because she's stooped pretty low in the past. This verifiable lie that the National Weather Service was understaffed due to staff cuts is utter baloney. Indeed, the local office in Texas was overstaffed at the time. It did issue multiple warnings, but tragically, it wasn't enough. But Rosie's not alone. There are sadly quite a few on the left trying to weaponise this tragedy to attack Donald Trump. And there are even some celebrating this catastrophic loss of life, including the loss of children's lives, young girls on a camping holiday. And why? Because Texas is a red state and the victims are mainly white. Here is a former appointee to a Houston City Board, appointed by the Democratic Mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner. Here is Sade Perkins being a contemptible, racist scrote.
Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all-white, white-only, conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going, period. And I think that context needs to be said in this matter. Before y'all come at me, before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, the parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave.
Of course, she's lying. This is not a whites-only camp, but she feels emboldened to post that callous trash because there's been very little accountability for race baiters in the US in recent years, well, until very recently. This character then went on to compare these young girls dying in a flash flood to illegal immigrants being deported.
They want you to have sympathy for these people. They want you to get out of your bed and to come out of your home and to go find these people and to donate your money to go find these people. Meanwhile, they are deporting your family members. Meanwhile, they're setting up concentration camps and prisons for your family members. And I need y'all to keep that in mind before y'all get out there and put on your rain boots and go find these little girls.
Honestly, I'm lost for words. How anybody could be that awful is, well, almost beyond belief. There are still little girls lost. There are still bodies that have not been identified. And that's the message from a Democrat-appointed Houston City Board member. And she was in that position up until this year. Now, do you think she reconsidered her comments after further thought? No. She doubled down, and now she's playing the victim.
I don't understand all this, extraordinary hate or whatever. Like, I get that white people are not used to people telling them and calling them out on their racism and telling them about their double standards and how you wouldn't give a damn about other children and how there's children in ICE detention right now who y'all don't give two about. There's no prayers going up for them. But we're supposed to stop the world and stop everything we're doing to go and hunt for these little missing white girls. Again, I actually have empathy, so I can put myself in other people's shoes and understand that that's pretty up, but it seems like y'all don't get that. Y'all don't get that. Y'all don't have the empathy gene, for sure.
Yes, you're the one with empathy. I mean, really. She thinks she's got the empathy gene. And here's another soulless ghoul saying she's okay with little girls dying because she voted the right way. She voted for the Democrats.
Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it. I don't give a f***. And I said no. Nope. Because more YT people will have to DIE in order for the what? CARE. I said what the f*** I said. I don't give a f***, and mines are here with me. We voted the correct way. You reap what the you sow. Just the night before the flash flood happened, y'all were okay with being stripped away from their families and never seeing them again. People being deported. Y'all were okay with that. Be okay with not finding Sarah Lou. Be okay with not finding Billy. Be okay with never seeing them again.
And here is another lowlife saying that if these Texans voted for Kamala, then the kids would be alive.
It's a hard pill to swallow, huh? The fact that if you would have just voted for Kamala, that those kids in Texas and all those families in the RVs would more than likely still be alive. But instead you just made fun of her laugh while people were screaming at you that if he was voted in, people were gonna die. And look where we are. A bunch of parents who can't protect their own kids.
Parents who can't protect their own kids. She actually said that. How can you adequately describe such ugliness, such utter depravity? And talking about depravity, it doesn't get much worse than this. Have a look at this post from a paediatrician in Houston, a woman trusted with the health of young children, who wrote this: "May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for." Just disgusting stuff there. But Dr. Christina B. Probst won't be practicing in Houston anymore, not at the Houston Heights clinic she was at anymore. She's been fired. Now, she should be struck off as a doctor, if you ask me. She should check herself into a clinic, one with a padded room preferably. And if you want to know where this hate comes from, where this disinformation about the National Weather Service and the politicisation of a natural disaster come from, then look no further than the leftist media led by CNN.
The president's mega bill, which he just signed into law, makes cuts and even closes some weather research labs.
The Austin San Antonio office is missing a warning coordination meteorologist due to the Trump administration's buyouts.
But let's now have a look at the inept mayor of LA, the hopelessly incompetent Karen Bass, trying to stop ICE agents doing their job.
My comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
In the bluest of blue cities, San Francisco, a city so decrepit that The Guardian asks, why is San Francisco covered in human feces? That's a real headline, folks. It's real. And today in San Francisco, the far left weren't just dodging the human poop epidemic. They were attacking ICE agents trying to do their jobs. So much screeching. Let's stay in California. Here is a blue-haired woman in San Diego laying hands on an officer. Not recommended. This was during a protest against the arrest of an illegal immigrant from Guatemala who had allegedly rammed his car into a government vehicle.
Not replying, and the moment I did something,
Oh, lady, you can't do that. You know, these people live in denial of democracy. There was an election. Donald Trump won on these very policies. He has a clear mandate to deport every single illegal immigrant. But even some commentators on Fox News seem to misunderstand that. Here is lefty Jessica Tarlov with this claim.
I'm saying that if you commit a crime once you are on U.S. soil, you should be turned over to ICE. And I think that's an easy exchange. And that's what people voted for in November. And you would have a much stronger case against the overreach that we're seeing in terms of what ICE is doing now that is not commensurate with what the American public wants. They didn't vote for people to show up at Home Depots. They didn't vote for people to show up at immigration courts. They didn't vote for the fact that there's new data out from Cato that 65% of the people that ICE has taken into custody have had no convictions.
What? That's precisely what they voted for. Are we just broadcasting wishful thinking as analysis now? Jessica, I don't know what parallel universe you've been inhabiting, but Donald Trump took a policy of deporting every illegal immigrant to an election and won in a landslide, and the polls have been clear ever since. The majority of Americans, including the majority of legal immigrants, support Trump's deportation plan. Let's go to CNN for this bit of analysis, a reality check for Jessica.
Deporting all immigrants who are here illegally, 55% the New York Times, Marquette 64%, CBS News 57%, ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters.
There you go. It's pretty conclusive. Now, let's have a little fun with the National Education Association. This is the largest teachers' union in America. It's full of hard left activists led by this woman, NEA President Becky Pringle.
Pending on us! Rise up! NEA! Hold on! Hold on! Don't let go of anyone's hand!
Wow, she's rather excitable, isn't she? I'm sure she'll calm down and make more sense if we just give her a chance.
Hell no! You're not taking money from our public schools. Not ever, not one election, not all the elections. We will stand! We will stand!
And let's check in on Stacey Abrams. You remember her, the Democrat with delusions of grandeur who somehow believes she won elections she clearly lost. She really thought she was the rightful governor of Georgia. Well, this democracy denier is now having delusions about living in a tyrannical Trump dictatorship where there'll be no more elections. I've said it before and I'll say it again. These people are nuts.
You send the U.S. Marines
into spaces they should not be. You send the National Guard in. You kidnap people off of the streets and pretend that's normal, because that's how you quiet dissent, because you make everyone afraid that if they don't do what you want, they might be next. And once you've done those 9 steps, step 10 is easy. That's when you decide there won't be new elections, because everyone's either afraid, poor, broken, or complicit.
Now, we all know the indoctrination we see in schools is harming kids, harming their academic progress and filling their heads with hard left ideology rather than, you know, facts, figures and any notion of critical thinking. The teachers' unions embrace this political activism. Let's hear from an educator that won the teachers' union's 2025 Teacher of the Year. Now, this teacher sees her role as inherently political.
Once I realized how deeply political our profession had always been, I knew I could no longer stay on the sidelines. So I got involved, I found my people, and my people helped me find my voice.
And here are more activist teachers discussing how they can start the political indoctrination earlier. Don't wait for higher education, don't wait for university, start much sooner.
I left higher education and work in a high school now. So everyone who raised your hand and said that you got radicalized in college, imagine if you got radicalized 4 years earlier. We need to organize undergraduates to join in this struggle because we're students and workers. And now I just want to say, because I think a lot of people here are in higher ed, like, work with the high schools, connect with the teachers' unions.
We almost went a whole week without the input of the ladies of The View, but alas, here we are. We can no longer ignore their mad ravings. I have so much to pick from, but let's ignore Whoopi and Joy and Sunny. We hear a lot from them. But we haven't featured Ana Navarro for a while. Here she is suggesting Elon Musk rigged the presidential election for Donald Trump.
Elon Musk needs to look at what he did in this past election.
Yes.
We have a broken system right now because there is no oversight. We have a broken system right now because there is a president who doesn't believe in the Constitution and who defies judicial orders. And Elon Musk and his $300+ million and God knows what else he may have done that we don't know of, own the problem that he created.
Now, here are some facts for Anna and the rest of the View simpletons. Kamala Harris outspent Donald Trump 4-1. She spent well over $1.5 billion with a B in 15 weeks. Donald Trump spent less than $500 million, well less than $500 million, over his entire campaign. This notion that Elon Musk bought Donald Trump the presidency only makes sense if you are ignorant of the facts or deliberately stupid. There are no other options. And talking about ignorant and stupid, let's check in with Kathy Griffin, who is pushing the same mad conspiracy theory that the 2024 election was somehow compromised. It was fixed. How else could Trump win so easily?
People think I'm tinfoil hat because I don't think he wanted a free and fair election this time.
Oh.
No, I'm going to take a hit for that, and I understand, but that's just my humble opinion. I don't trust the Elon connection. I have my suspicions.
You know, there's a wave of people who agree with you. A wave.
That's why I'm sort of saying it out loud now, because look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But something about him winning every swing state, all 7.
You're getting a lot of agreement.
It's going to the Democrats. Something about it doesn't sit right with me, but I also don't know if we'll really find out anything in my lifetime. I don't know.
What do they say? Crazy loves company, but Ana Navarro and Kathy Griffin are almost rational commentators when compared to this next mad banshee. Here is former MSNBC host Tiffany Cross. She's on CNN nowadays, and here she claims that Nazi-like ICE agents are kidnapping people off the streets and throwing innocent migrants into concentration camps.
normalizing a government agency disappearing people. We are normalizing, we're talking about it like it's no big deal that they are kidnapping people and transporting them to concentration camps, both domestic and foreign. That is not.
I think that's kind of insulting to.
I think it's
Jewish
insulting what they're doing. It is not insulting to Jewish. I find it insulting that you could even fix your mouth to defend this disgusting behavior.
It's not a death camp.
It doesn't matter. It's a concentration camp what they're doing, and they are disappearing people, claiming that these are people who have committed the most harsh crimes, but according to the reporting, less than 10% of these people have committed harsh crimes. So to do the Victim Olympics.
Victim Olympics? Who had it worse? Did she really say that? That it's Victim Olympics, to point out that concentration camps actually had millions of people who were murdered in them. Just gross and crazy. As for only 10% of those being deported being hardened criminals, even if that figure is right, every single illegal immigrant is breaking the law. That's why they're being deported. Now, let's end on something a little more frivolous. We hear the dating world is rough nowadays. There's a loneliness epidemic, but, you know, sometimes that's for the best.
Guys, someone just asked me out. We were in the queue for the toilets and we had a bit of banter, and he said, "Can I take you for a drink sometime?" And I thought, let me just ask this simple question. I said, "Are you a feminist, and have you spent time thinking about your privileges as a male? Do you understand the nuances of the trans debate, and do you always sit on the right side of it and understand how we've been pitted against each other by the powers that be to ultimately make us weaker? Do you have a good connection to your inner monologue, or do you spend time avoiding thoughts with vices like games consoles or addiction to alcohol and drugs? And are you angry with the state of the world right now? And if so, what are you doing about it?"